Hi everyone, it's Meredith with Soul Navigation, and today we're going to talk about the 3 most psychic zodiac signs in astrology. And I'm going to give you 10 tips to see if you were born with a psychic chart signature in your astrological chart. This video is going to have so much information. I'm going to show you 10 different ways that you can see in the astrology chart if somebody has this natural inclination to being really deeply intuitive, or having the natural and instinctive ability to just be psychic, to receive premonitions really easily, to experience deja vu instantaneously. If you do have one of these chart signatures, what can you do with them? You know, being psychic, it's like your third eye. It is a muscle. And if you don't use it, it goes into a dormant phase. And so let's say you have 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 of these chart signatures that I'm going to tell you about, and yet you don't feel particularly psychic. Well, you have it inside of you. It's just something that you have to operate and exercise. Also, if you feel like, gosh, when I was younger, that happened to me all the time, but it doesn't happen anymore. What happens is we get into our logical brain, the part of our brain where we're doing mathematical equations or statistics or cause and effect, problem solving, high analysis. We squash that part of ourselves. And so we don't vibrate at that intuitive level. But this video is going to be so exciting. And I'm excited to teach you how to find psychic sight in someone's chart. Okay, are you ready? So first, I just want to say, do you like my new haircut? I just got it today. I wanted to do something different and fun, and my daughter convinced me. Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's the new me for a little while. Anyways, my name is Meredith. If you don't know me, I own my own company, Soul Navigation, and I have a whole team of readers. You can go meet them all. Just go to soulnavigation.com and click on the book now button and book a reading with one of my readers. They're absolutely amazing. They do tarot, astrology, energy readings, womb readings, numerology. They are phenomenal. I'm an evolutionary astrologer. I've been studying for 23 years, and I basically have been doing readings all day long, every day for 23 years. Yeah. Welcome to my channel. If you're a super supporter, I love you. I'm so happy that you're here, and I'm going to be posting some secret videos. I think my next video, I'm going to talk to you about out of bounds planets. So if you're a super supporter, thank you. If you're a subscriber, thank you. I love you. Please like this video if you do, and subscribe. I would be so grateful. And the more subscribers we get, the more people get to see my videos, so they don't repress me and oppress me over on YouTube. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I have a feeling that you can guess what the 3 most psychic signs are, because it's actually pretty obvious. If you've studied even a little bit about astrology, you probably know the 3 most intuitive or psychic signs. Can you guess below? Leave me a comment below. Guess before I say it. I'll give you a second. I'll give you a second. Leave a comment. Leave a comment. So these 3 are all tied for first place. Not one is more psychic than the other, but the more psychic chart signatures that you have, and I'm going to give you all 10 of them, they'll kind of make you look at astrology really differently, but we're going to get to those. The top 3, all tied for first place, is dun dun dun, Scorpio. Oh, you're really shocked, aren't you? Scorpio can know your energy. They have X-ray vision. They can actually see inside of you. So wherever you have Scorpio, this is where in your chart, in whatever house, this is where you bring deep, deep X-ray vision to. This is the arena. The next one is Cancer, right? Cancers can feel what you feel. They can feel that you're off. They can feel that you're cold. They can feel your emotional temperature go down by 1/4 of a degree. Yep. And the third one, again, tied for first place, is Pisces. Yes. Is anybody shocked? Are you guys shell shocked? Pisces can merge with you. They can like live inside of you and actually be you. Pisces lives inside of you. I'm not joking. They literally slip into your skin and they become you. And so they become one with you. Now, all 3 of these water signs can have premonitions. They have vivid dreams. They know what you're going to say before you say it. They merge so deeply with other vibrations. They vibrate at this intuitive level naturally. Now, if you are a water sign and you don't feel particularly intuitive, you've probably reasoned it away. It probably wasn't nurtured. It probably isn't being exercised. You might have made a psychic mistake, which is really easy to do. Like you told a truth that maybe you shouldn't have, and then it scarred you. So you don't want to step into it anymore. You might have purposely blocked it because you were seeing too much, picking up on too much energy. Like Pisces, they are so energetically intuitive that sometimes they have to shut down their channels, shut down their energy so they don't pick up on all of the energy vampires that live in their life, right? So sometimes being psychic means that you are so sensitive to other people that sometimes you do have to block it or stifle it or repress it or shut it down. So let me know if you are a water sign and if you have become really overwhelmed with your own intuition or with your own empathy. And are you claircognizant? Are you clairsentient? Are you clairvoyant? So do you hear? Do you feel? Do you know? How does your intuition hit you? Is it just a gut instinct? Or is it a knowing? Do you hear voices? Do you hear names? How does it work for you? Leave me a comment below. I want to know. Now, I want to give a 4th place winner, which is really a 2nd place winner because all the water signs are tied for 1st. And that is I'm going to hand it to Aquarius. Aquarians are very, very psychic. They're both right and left brain. But how it works for Aquarius is I don't think they walk around with, just an open conduit to the other side. But they have flashes of like uncanny brilliance. And I would say that their psychic sight is just that. It's uncanny. It's like, oh, it just hit me. Flashes. They get flashes of insight, flashes of brilliance, flashes of intuition. They get the right answer flashed right before them. And so it's fleeting. And if they don't pay attention, it goes right by them. And they're like, whoa, what did I just see? Whoa, what was that? And then after that, I'm going to say it's Libra. And Libra is fascinating. I have a whole theory on Libra and why they are so intuitive. I'll give you the short answer right here. Basically, Libras from the age of 0 had to understand people. They got into their psychic sight usually through this heightened awareness of people and how people work, operate, and are motivated. And then they could start predicting behavior of the people around them. So Libra sort of built their intuition out of need, where I feel the water signs, they just vibrate on the intuitive plane. And then Aquariuses are operating sort of like a light bulb that has these flickers or flashes. And if they can grab them, if they can harness them, and if they're not afraid of them, they can grow them. And then those flashes can become quite dependable. Those are my top 3 plus my bonus 2 psychic signs. Now, let me show you how to find psychic ability, psychic sight, and deep, deep intuition in your own astrology chart. Now remember, wherever you have the Pisces, the Scorpio, and the Cancer in your chart, in whatever arena, whatever house that is in, that's where you have the most intuition operating at the highest level. These 10 techniques, these 10 chart signatures, if you have even one of them, it is intuition. It is a psychic ability. But if you have all of these, oh my gosh, please can I know you? Please can I know you? Let me know which of these chart signatures you have. You need to have a chart. And hopefully you have an easy to read chart. If you don't, please, please go buy one on my Soul Navigation website. You just go to soulnavigation.com, click on Astrology Charts and Reports. It gives you the instructions on how you email me your birth information, and it's only $10. And I put so much gargantuan information into your chart. It's color-coded, it's easy to read. It is nothing like what you get on the internet. It's not black and white. You don't have to search for the degrees. It's all written out for you, and I have little cheat sheets for you. I also put in there the declinations. Now, why do you want to know about the declinations? Well, the declinations will show you if you have an out of bounds planet. And I want you guys to know about the out of bounds planets. So if you have a declination above 23 degrees, 27 minutes, you have an out of bounds planet, and you want to know that. The other charts out there that you can go get for free aren't going to tell you that. I want you to know this, and then you can use that chart for every single video that I have on my YouTube channel. And I want you to start peeling your onion and go and watch every video that pertains to you. Like, you need to know that Jupiter right now is at 2 degrees Pisces, and go watch my Hit the Jackpot with Jupiter moving into Pisces video and look at the chart and see where your Jupiter is so you can know where you're hitting the Jupiter jackpot in 2021 and 2022. You deserve to know. Okay, I'm going to try to make this really easy for you, but I do want to tell you it is a little bit complicated. But stay with me, okay? First, I need you to know what primary planets are. Primary planets are the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, Okay, then we have Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. I am going to mostly focus on the planets that bring psychic sight and psychic intuition are sometimes in combinations. Okay, so the moon is probably the most intuitive planet. It's really a luminary, but it is probably the most intuitive. And then I would say Neptune. Mercury all by itself is not intuitive, but when Mercury goes into a water sign, it becomes intuitive, okay? When we have planetary combinations like Mercury and Neptune make an aspect to one another, that is highly intuitive. So you guys have to be willing to think complexly with me, okay? Technique number 1, do you have the sun, the moon, Mercury, and Jupiter in the 4th house, the 8th house, or the 12th house? So the 4th house, the 8th house, and the 12th house are the psychic houses. Why? Because the 4th house is naturally ruled by Cancer, the 8th house by Scorpio, and the 12th house is Pisces house. So what planets do you have in the 4th, the 8th, or the 12th? Doesn't matter what sign is the 4th, the 8th, or the 12th. It could be Aries, it could be Sagittarius, it could be Gemini. It doesn't matter, because those houses, whatever sign they're in, will hold psychic ability. Now, secondarily, I want to say that if you have any planets but Saturn in those houses, those planets, those pieces of you will have intuition. So let's just say you have your Mars in the 8th. Well, that means you're going to be able to read energy. Let's say you have your Mercury in the 12th. Well, that means you're going to have mental premonitions, right? Let's say you've got your moon in the 4th. That means you are going to be so sensitive and deeply feeling, because the moon is feeling. You're going to feel other people's emotions. So the different planets create different psychic abilities. And if you've got a stellium, meaning a lot of planets, with the exception of Saturn, because Saturn kind of blocks psychic energy, all the other planets can embrace psychic energy in the 4th, the 8th, or the 12th. That is extraordinarily psychic. And the more planets you have in the 4th, 8th, and 12th, the more psychic awareness and psychic ability and psychic intuitive capacity you have. Does that make sense? Okay, so tell me what you've got in the 4th, the 8th, or the 12th. And again, the sign does not matter, because those are the water houses by the natural zodiacal wheel. Technique number 2, or chart signature number 2. Do you have your sun, your moon, Mercury, or personal planets in a water sign? Do you have any of those in water signs? Because whatever planets are in water signs are operating at an intuitive level. And I'm also going to say Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. If you've got an outer planet like Uranus in Pisces, that's great. And that can bring in psychic sight. But if it's attached to a personal planet, especially the sun, the moon, or Mercury, now we're talking about you having even a deeper intuitive channel. That is really, really deep. If you've got those personal planets in water signs, and if you have Neptune or Uranus or Pluto conjunct or in aspect to, in very tight aspect. Now, what do I mean by tight? I told you it's a little bit complex, but I'm hoping you guys are with me. And if you have your chart, you can figure all this out. So if you have your Mercury in Scorpio at 10 degrees, what I'm asking you is, do you have any other planets that I just mentioned also between 5 degrees Scorpio, which is 5 degrees before your 10-degree Mercury in Scorpio, and 15 degrees Scorpio? Do you have anything between 5 and 15 degrees if your Mercury in Scorpio is at 10 degrees? If you don't have that in Scorpio, do you have it between 5 and 15 degrees in Pisces or Cancer? Any of those planets with the exception of Saturn, because Pisces and Cancer make a perfect trine to Scorpio, and that is huge. So those water signs talking to each other create mind-blowing intuition. Let me give you an example. You've got your Scorpio Mercury at 10 degrees. You've got your Jupiter in Cancer at 5 degrees. You have Neptune in Pisces at 12 degrees. That, my friends, is a grand water trine. And if you have a grand water trine in tight connection, meaning 5 degrees before or 5 degrees after, each one of those planets has to be within 5 degrees of the others. That is massive, mind-blowing intuition. Tell me if you have a grand water trine. Okay, technique number 3 is your 3rd house, your 4th house, your 8th house, 11th house, or 12th house, a water sign house, and especially 4th, 8th, and 12th. This is going to be you if you are a Leo rising. So Leo risings have the 4th house is usually Scorpio, the 8th house is Pisces, and their 12th house is usually Cancer. This is also going to be if you're a Sagittarius rising or a late Scorpio rising, then you're going to have Scorpio in the 12th house, and you're going to have Pisces in the 4th house, and then you're going to have Cancer in the 8th house. And then, of course, if you're an Aries rising, you know you're going to have Cancer in the 4th, and you're going to have Scorpio in the 8th, and you're going to have Pisces in the 12th. Because if you're an Aries rising, you get the natural zodiacal wheel, all of your houses in their natural placements. What's very interesting about that is the fire rising signs are really massively intuitive. Isn't that crazy? And fire is gut instincts. So it does make sense. That's just a little cheat sheet. Okay, we've got so much more to do. Now, if you're kind of advanced and you're getting all this and you have not gotten your deep natal report from me, you really should go to Soul Navigation, click on the shop tab, and go get your deep natal report, because it's a story all about you. And it will go really deep into what does your chart say about you. It just peels the onion for you. And so if you really want to take this to heart and you want this to penetrate at the soul level, you should go get my deep natal report. I didn't write it, but I researched all of them on the market, and this is the best on the market. It's really good. Okay, let's talk about technique number 4. Do you have Neptune and Mercury dancing together in your chart? I also want to say, do you have your Neptune and your moon in aspect to one another? Do you have an aspect? And now you know what aspects are. 5 degrees before, 5 degrees after. Now listen, if you've got it, but it's at 6 degrees, I'd say take it if it feels like it fits. If you've got it within 10 degrees before or 10 degrees after, but you really feel it strongly, I say take it. But after 10, no. After 10, it just doesn't count. It's too wide. The tighter it is, the stronger it is. So let's say you had your Neptune in Sagittarius, but you had your Mercury in Aquarius, and they were within 5 degrees of each other. So a 10 degree and a 15 degree. Well, that's a sextile, and that is deeply, deeply intuitive. If your Neptune and your moon are tight in aspect to one another, that is so deeply intuitive. That's when you will feel things. That's when you could get visitations from angels, from spirit guides. That's when you could connect to the other side. Now, to be clear, I do not count the Mercury and the moon. That doesn't create enough psychic energy to call it a psychic chart signature. That just means your head and your heart, work together, right? I also just want to emphasize that I count Mercury, Neptune, and Moon, Neptune. But if you have Mercury, Neptune, and the Moon all in aspect to one another, that's like, whoa, the angels sing on that one. Like, that's so powerful. Leave me a comment below if that's you. Leave me a comment below and let me know that you guys are getting this. Please, please, please tell me that you're getting this. Okay, technique number 5 kind of is an extension of the last one that we did. So if you've got Mercury and Neptune in any sign, it doesn't matter. But if they're talking to each other in the 4th, the 8th, or the 12th house, those are the psychic houses. That will elevate your psychic vibration to just an enormously high level. Also, if you've got Neptune and the moon in the 4th or the 8th or the 12th, that's any sign. So it could be Capricorn, it could be in Libra, it could be in Gemini. If you've got those 2 planets talking to each other in any sign, but especially in the 4th, 8th, or 12th houses, it's almost like you're going to be able to probably hear and know the answers before they really come. It is also a bonus if you have Jupiter here in the mix. If you have Jupiter here in the mix, it just makes it all the more gargantuan, expansive. Okay, now we're going to fold in Pluto. Technique number 6. If you have Pluto conjunct Mercury in any sign, it doesn't matter what sign, but of course water gives it a boost. And if you have Mercury and Pluto conjunct in the 4th, the 8th, or the 12th, it gives it even more power. And if you have Pluto in any aspect to Mercury, it gives it tremendous psychic ability. What this does is, this is a little bit of a different kind of psychic. This gives you the ability to be the detective, to be the bloodhound, to sniff out BS anywhere you go. So if you've got a strong Pluto Mercury, I am telling you, you are hard to trick. You are not that gullible. You can sniff out a liar, a cheater, a stealer. You are the great detective. And so it's a little bit of a different kind of intuition, but you can probably read motives, you can probably read energy, and you can probably sense if you are in danger. And that's also if you have that Pluto Mercury in any aspect, but when it's conjunct, it's just those two planets then don't separate. They become Siamese twins and they never leave each other. Powerful mind. You probably literally could bend spoons if you have Pluto conjunct Mercury. It is powerful to have Pluto in sextile, trine, opposition, or square to Mercury too. Okay, number 7, and a lot of people don't, they don't talk about this, but let's say you have none of the other stuff. But if you've got your south node in a water sign, you came into this lifetime with intuition. You came into this lifetime having already used your intuition and your psychic sight, your psychic ability, probably at a PhD level or a doctorate degree level. And so you come in with just this ability to know. People who have this oftentimes come into this lifetime able to like speak a foreign language and they don't even know why. And if you have your south node in a water sign and it's conjunct Mercury, oh my God, or your south node conjunct Neptune and Mercury, just like I was talking about earlier, that is massive. But what that tells me is that your intuition is coming from your previous lifetime. And so south node water sign people come in with this knowing. And it's this unexpected knowing. And they oftentimes know things they don't even want to know. Okay, number 8. And this is sort of my little surprise. Number 8 is to look to the 3rd house. Now, this alone is not a psychic house. This is a house actually of communication, and it's Gemini's natal house. It can end up being psychic because it is the house of communication. And so if you have just one of these things happening with your 3rd house, it can be psychic. By the way, a lot of houses are split. Let's say your 3rd house starts with Gemini, but also has a little bit of Cancer in it. Well, that little bit of Cancer is water, and it does count. And you have to realize that these houses sometimes share 2 neighboring signs together. So if you just have a little drop, then you just have a little drop. If you have mostly Cancer, but just a little drop of Gemini, well, then you're mostly intuitive in your house of communication. So this is what I want to say. Go look to the 3rd house. If it is a water house, or if you have some water in that house, it makes it psychic and intuitive. If you have Neptune in this house, any sign, it doesn't matter. So if you just have Sagittarius in the 3rd house and you've got Neptune there, this creates deep intuition. If you have Neptune and Mercury here in any sign, it creates the intuitive mind. And if you have Neptune and the moon here, it creates deep intuitive knowing. If for unexplained reasons, it's like you just know. And it doesn't matter if it has water or no water. So some of the planets create in combination with one another, they create deep intuition. Now, if you already have your chart, if you already bought the starter package, which is the deep natal report and the chart, then the next thing I really recommend you go get, if you know your birth time, is your solar return report. It's like 60 pages. I'm not joking. It is so darn good. It is amazing. And it will show you what's in store for you this year. And you'll get to know by these placements if you're having a highly intuitive year, if you can really trust your psychic sense, your psychic powers. And it will, you'll have a different rising sign for the year. You'll have a different house placement for the year, but it is so accurate. It is scary accurate. I mean, you will get the chills from your solar return report. It's amazing. I also give you your solar return chart. So you get the same exact chart, but you get it for this year. And it starts from your birthday and it goes all the way till your next birthday. And I couldn't live without doing my annual solar return reading. I just can't. I just couldn't, because I need to know the major themes, and it shows you like the major mega arteries that are gonna, shine through in your year. What is to come of your year. So it's really, really wonderful. Okay, let's keep going. Number 9. Number 9, we have to go back to what I was talking about with Aquarius. So Uranus is those flashes of insights, and we haven't talked a lot about it, but there's premonitions, there's flashes, there's deja vus. If you have your Uranus in a water sign and it's conjunct Mercury, that's massively, massively intuitive. This is very, very psychic. Now, it's not the kind of like dependable intuition, but it's like messages are just going to snap, crackle, and pop. They're just going to like pop out of the blue. Now, if you have Mercury and Uranus and they are in aspect to Neptune, Jupiter, or the moon, oh my God, that is so potent. So if it was just Uranus and Jupiter, I wouldn't say that it is tremendously psychic. It can have flashes, but if you've got Uranus and Mercury, Uranus, Neptune, and Mercury, oh my God, that is just so profoundly, deeply knowing. If you have those combinations, and let's say you've got Mercury and Uranus conjunct, and it's square the moon, and it's opposing Jupiter, that is very, very psychic. So any aspects between these planets really do heighten your psychic ability. And the more of these you have, the more easy your psychic senses can find you, can operate, guide you, and you can rely on. So number 10, we have to go look at the 11th house. The 11th house is Aquarius's natural zodiacal house, and it's where we get those flashes of insight. But if your 11th house is or has water in it, it is going to operate in a psychic capacity. Like if you have a stellium in the 11th house, you are very psychic. A stellium is 3 planets or more. But basically, if you have any planets in there, with the exception of Saturn, this creates enormous intuition. You probably are a master of the psychic arts, truthfully. If you have a lot of these planets in the 11th house and they make an aspect to the 3rd house, the 4th, 8th, or 12th, by those degrees, right? 5 degrees before, 5 degrees after, that also really compounds the potency of this house. You can be somebody who is psychic with just one aspect, with, oh gosh, Meredith, all I have is my sun in Pisces. Well, that can be massive. It depends what you do with it. Do you exercise it? Do you trust your intuition? Do you count on it every single day? Do you have faith around your intuition? Because those are the ways in which you grow your psychic senses. If you trust your own intuition or not. Have you been burned by your own tuition? Like, did you just know it was going to go a certain way and it didn't? One time I was at this luncheon and they were like picking names out of a hat for somebody to win. And I just heard, I'm going to win that prize. And this has actually happened to me a few times, probably on 3 occasions, where I just knew I was the winner before I was the winner. And I won the whole basket. I could believe it, but I couldn't believe it. So you have to play with your psychic sensibility, if you will, like guess the elevator, guess the next song on the radio, think of somebody to call you, not somebody who you even want to call you, because it doesn't work very well when you have an agenda, but like, oh, I just really am thinking about my mom right now. And oftentimes what's so crazy is I will know a client wants to book with me before they book. And then the next day they booked with me. It is just crazy. So you do have to work with it. You have to trust it. You have to have faith in your psychic senses, and you have to really like lean into them. But like David Copperfield, he's the magician. He's an illusionist. I wouldn't say he's psychic, but he has just kind of one thing. He has his sun in the 12th house. I don't even think he's a water sign. I think he's a Libra or something. And he just has that sun in the 12th house and he just taps into his magic, right? And Edgar Cayce, probably one of the, if not the greatest psychic, one of them for sure. He had his Pisces sun in the 8th house. Neptune conjunct the moon. It was wide. It was wider than the 5 degrees. And guess what else he had? He had 5 planets, a total stellium in Pisces. I mean, he's jaw-dropping psychic. If you don't know Edgar Cayce's work, oh my God, please let me know that you know Edgar Cayce's work. And if not, go read everything about him. He's so amazing. So there was another psychic named Bernadette, Saint of the Lords, and she had her sun in the 8th house. And then by wide aspect, she had Neptune opposing her moon, and her moon was in the 3rd house. So that's that house of communication. She was considered a massive healer. And that's that Neptune moon where she worked with energy, and she could touch you, and I think you were given sight or your wounds were healed. And then Nostradamus, as we all know, right? He was massively, massively prophetic and psychic. And he had that grand water trine. So he had a planet in each water sign. And he had his moon in Scorpio in the 8th. And the moon was in sextile. So sextiles are not less influential. Sextiles really can ground you. Sextile is my favorite. It is my favorite aspect out of every aspect. Sextiles need each other. Water needs earth. Fire needs air, right? And they create harmony. They're easy to work with. So his moon sextiled his Neptune. And then guess what? He had a stellium and in Cancer. 3 of his planets were in Cancer in the 4th house, right? And then guess what he had? He had Uranus in Pisces in the 12th house. So his whole chart was basically psychic. So is your whole chart psychic, and do you feel it? And if you don't, I don't want you to feel badly about yourself, but I want you to know that, you're leaving your gifts untouched on the inside, and work with them and play with them and dance with them. I don't want you to die with the music still inside of you. Release it. Let it come out. Have faith. Before you go to bed, ask your angels, ask your spirit guides, ask your guardians, ask the ascended masters to work with you. Talk to your spirit animal. And really, especially if you have a lot of Pisces in your chart, create your dream journal, because that's where you get a lot of the symbolism and a lot of the answers. So in your dreams, I want you to know, I don't really believe in books that do dream interpretation for you, because what's happening is you come programmed with your own language. And a snake to me means something very different than a snake to you. The mother archetype to me is very, very different, whomever you are, than the mother archetype is for you. Your language, the language that your soul knows, comes to you in your unconscious or subconscious, and that is when you're sleeping. So if you want to learn your language of the soul, you have to keep your dream journal, because this is where you will start to understand what the different words mean to your subconscious. And that's how you unlock the psychic language or your psychic sight. That's where you get the messages, your psychic dictionary. And that is my intuition trying to bubble up and define itself to me. Okay, so this is my video with my 10 tips. I hope to God I did not massively confuse you. Leave me any comments, leave me any questions. And if you have a grand water trine with whatever planets, let me know. Saturn doesn't count. I hope this helps. I hope you like this. Stick with me, because every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, I'm going to be premiering my videos, and you can live chat with me and talk to me about the subject. Next time, I'm going to do another top 3. So I hope you like this new series, and I will see you soon. And take good care. From my house in Seattle to yours in the world, tell me where you're from. Tell me where you're from. I wanted to know if I have anybody here who lives in Iran. Do I? I don't know. Bye for now. Take good care.